Ladies and gentlemen, now please welcome former anchor and managing editor for WFAA-TV and KTVT CBS 11, Mr. Tracy Rowlett.
Good evening. Don Wall, a former colleague at WFAA, is now writing music, and he started this group. And he's not just writing music and playing music, but he's also doing a special medical report that's aired in many stations around the country. So thanks to Don and the Texas Switchgrass. You did a great job. Welcome to all of you to the Belo Mansion and Pavilion. And of course, tonight we're honoring one of journalism's best in Bob Schieffer. Welcome also to Pat, his wife, who's also with him tonight. And Pat, it's a delight to have you with us as well. Bob had a wonderful career that spanned some 58 years. It started here in our area when he was hired by the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. And from the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, he went over to Channel 5. And from Channel 5, he went to CBS News. He was 46 years at CBS, not only as a reporter, covering just about anything you can imagine and doing some of the best interviews in the business, but also as the moderator of Face the Nation, one of the great programs on CBS even today, but never quite the same since you left it, Bob. He has won virtually every award in journalism. I mean, everything that comes down the pike, he now is master of. He has 8 Emmy Awards. He's also won both the Cronkite and the Murrow Awards for excellence in broadcast news. And he's also authored 3 books. Bob says he's not quite sure when he determined that he wanted to be a journalist, certainly one covering politics, but he also remembers the first time that he saw a big-time politician. This was 1948, so Bob writes in one of his books. 1948, and he was about 11 years old, and he and some of his buddies were going over to play baseball, if I have this story correctly, to a northwest field, a field there in northwest Fort Worth. And as they approached the field, they noticed that the whole place was really packed with people. And in those days, you never saw a helicopter really to speak of, again, 1948, but suddenly swooping down out of the sky, there came a big helicopter. It lands at the field, and who should get off of it, clad in his Stetson, but LBJ. LBJ was in Congress running for the Senate. He gave one of his rousing speeches, and of course he was always bigger than life for those of us who were fortunate enough to have covered LBJ at one time or another. But he gave a rousing speech asking for their votes. They all cheered. He had a wonderful send-off as he took off this Stetson, and he kind of steps back, as I see it anyway, and whirls it into the air, into that crowd. Then with a great big farewell, he gets back on the helicopter and takes off. Now, years later, as Bob tells the story, he was talking to Texan Jake Pickle, a congressman, and a very important congressman, and he's telling Jake about this story. And Jake says, wait a minute, I know all about that. He said, my job was to show up at those different fests, and he said, it was my job to stand out in that crowd and try to catch that damned hat.